Yo, 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 guys, what is up, and welcome back to another episode of the Warriors Invitational. It's your boy Gotham, my boys Matt and Chuck. Full squad here today, gentlemen. Happy Veterans Day to you guys. Day off for everybody celebrating. Welcome back, boys. Full squad after a very, very fun stretch of Warriors basketball. A lot to get into today. A lot of fun stuff to discuss, dive into, and look forward to coming up here on tomorrow night. But before we get into everything, as always, how we doing, gentlemen?
Yeah, good, man. Yeah, had a little relaxed day today. Got to rewatch the tape from last night. That was a it's the first game I've like watched this year where even knowing everything that was going to happen, it was still just a roller coaster watching it on replay. Just the insane momentum swings in this game, like crazy ass foul calls. It was a lot, but no, we're doing good. How you doing there, Matt?
Yeah, similar experience, man. I got to rewatch most of the game this morning, and I got the last 5 minutes last night. Just seeing the lead build up, the lead blown, it's just incredible. These guys are awesome. No one else can do like the Warriors, man. But no, doing good, man. Long weekend, can't complain.
Love it. Yeah, I feel you, man. Yesterday, I feel like I aged a lot just watching that Niners game in the morning, back and forth,
Oh,
gritty dub, and then look forward to that, early evening Warriors game. And yeah, that was a roller coaster of emotions of a day, but two dubs, we'll take that. And the Warriors end up finishing this road trip 4-1, and we'll get into the road trip at large. But talking about yesterday, guys, obviously, coming in 3-1 on the road trip, coming off a pretty big loss against Cleveland, where the Warriors kind of were looked outmatched the entire time. Cavs obviously I think still undefeated as of right now. So obviously going up against Juggernaut, but coming in Sunday night, you wanted to end the road trip strong, and I think any of us would have taken 3-2, and maybe even expected that going into yesterday night. But arguably, Boston was fun, and Boston was definitely a kind of a statement win. But yesterday it really felt like, hey, like this team is 8-2 through 10 games, and the eye test is looking very, very nice right now. So Matt, talk to me, man. What did you see yesterday just on the Thunder game? And then overall, just what are your thoughts on the 4-1 road trip? I know we kind of had predictions going into that. And so 4-1, we said there would be conversations about this team. So yeah, kind of a two-parter to start this one off.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna start by saying I'll get to the 4-1 implications in a sec, but like right now, I'm still the mindset. I'm not sold just yet. It's gonna be some time still, but I think this team is just getting closer to at least figuring out what they need long term. I think moving Melton in the starting lineup was a hit. The guy was shooting the hell out of the ball. He's so active defensively. Um, I thought it was probably one of Kuminga's more effective games, like looking like a power forward, like he was finishing everything around the rim. And I just want to keep saying the guy is like he's not grabbing a lot of rebounds. To be clear, he got 5 boards in 26 minutes, which is not like it's not chump change by any means, right? But he's just so much more active on the glass this year, tipping balls, grabbing balls. Like go ahead and get a laugh in there, but yeah, he just looks good. And this team just figures out they're starting to look a little more like a team that like knows closer to what they want to be. Gotham, you've been kind of like concerned about TJD of late. I don't wasn't the game to really mitigate or add to that, but a lot of Draymond at centerman, especially towards the end, and that's kind of like we know this team at their best. Long, at least again with the roster they have, that's what they're going to be is with Draymond at the five, looking fucking awesome. But I'm gonna just keep saying it. Like Melton needs to be their starting two guard going forward. Like that's just kind of like he is a guy who's a scoring threat, somewhat deceptively. He kind of showed it throughout the game. He had a few big shots. Um, and just somebody else you trust out there on both ends of the floor. And you kind of see this like if he's healthy, he's not a cutter in the same way GP2 is, but he's a much better ball handler. He's a much better passer. I forget I think it was Kuminga on a roll, but just finds him this sweet bounce pass in the way that I don't think most of the Warriors, but other non-Steph guards are doing. So I'm in on that group. As far as at least the Melton in the starting lineup group is kind of my big takeaway. I'm going to say they beat a good team. Right, that's a good thing. OKC is good. They were down two of their top six guys. That's important to note. In Hartenstein and Chet, obviously. Um, so 4-1's good. I'm not breaking news. 8-2 is fucking awesome. there's a there for people who are like doubters still, like myself, there are caveats to like their big wins. I mean, Boston's great. They're great without Porzingis. They're great without Brown. They didn't have two All-Star players on the floor. OKC lost a guy who probably was going to be and all like make his first All-Star team this year in the first 6 minutes of the game. Um, they're down their other true center, so it's like they are great wins. I think this team still needs to continue to stack things up. You still kind of see some shakiness here and there. Obviously, um, they're not elite at holding 30-point leads as of right now. But no, I'm overall encouraged. I'm just not sold yet. I'm not going to be sold to those record similar winning percentage holds for a while, and they continue to beat good teams. Um, Obviously, the one team they played at full strength, Cleveland, they got rocked. I think that was a combination of like to be clear, they did not contain the ball in that game. Like the Warriors didn't. I think their on ball defense was awesome, but simultaneously that was a shooting display we have not really seen from anybody this season except for Boston, maybe in the first game of the year against New York. So take from that what you will. The Warriors, even if they played, I'll say, quote unquote, good defense, we're probably going to lose that game. Um, but no, overall, 8-2 is fucking awesome. I'm just going to keep saying it though. I need to 10 games isn't going to erase the last 2 years for me. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? I need to see more and more. Chuck.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. I think it is important to say, what was affecting the teams that they were playing with all the injuries, same with Celtics game. But, we've talked about this before early in the season. Like when you looked at those Pelicans games that were super hobbled back to back, like the Warriors would have found a way to lose at least one of those games, if not both, over the last 2 years. They win both. And yeah, this road trip, you're down you're down rotation guys still, like Steph's on a minute count, and then you go on the road against three straight like top tier contenders, and 2-1 is perfect. I mean, obviously Cleveland just shot the cover off the ball, but they've been doing that a lot. There's a reason that team is 11-0. So I think it was just good at placing not the Warriors in the hierarchy of the league necessarily, but compared to last year, I think it really just shows off how different things are. And yeah, there have been some really encouraging individual performances. Like you said, Melton starting lineup, that was a shot in the arm. Steph and Draymond still looking good. The rotation's looking really nice. And the Kuminga thing has been big. Just going off his stats once they took him out of the starting lineup, 17 and a half points a game, 5 boards, 2 assists, 52% from the floor, 44% from deep.
Minutes, Chuck.
And yeah, and it shows. And the crazy thing too is that his confidence has really gone up. He had double-digit shot attempts in just one of his three starts, and 7 straight games off the bench, he's taken double-digit shot attempts. So I think the Warriors have really found a happy medium there. It's going to be important. Where Kuminga, he looked out of place with the starting guys. It wasn't the best fit. Now he's going to the bench. He's got more shots on his plate. He's able to make more of an impact because he doesn't have to compete against starters. So I think my biggest rotation takeaway of things going forward is just Kuminga off the bench has worked way too well for the Warriors to reconsider it. And if this team is healthy and he's like your scoring punch off the bench with the way Pods is playing, tough game. He just looks frustrated. So probably just a little slump for the kid, but yeah, no, I think Kuminga being that big time scoring option off the bench has been huge for them.
Yeah, 100%. I think my biggest, yeah, I totally agree. I think Melton's starting. I think Steve said it after the game, like that's going to be the group for the next couple weeks, and looked really good. I think Melton, like you said, Matt, just being a ball handler. I think with Steph out there being able to shoot, frees up Wiggins. I think Wiggs has had a really good road trip. Even though I think Shaw was off for a couple games, but just the energy and just the types of shots that he's taking. I still think he's the worst like wide open layup shooter in the league. It's kind of hilarious, but he's especially in that first half yesterday. I think he had double digits. He was the first one to hit double digits for the Warriors. So I really like how that unit's looking.
Can we
Um,
pause real quick? Sorry, on Wigs. We gotta like actually shout the fuck out Wiggins,
yeah,
man. Like he's been
I mean, Wiggs has
like
been
activity has been
fantastic.
fucking awesome. He's like again, same thing as Kaminga in a way. Like he's moving. Like he's not shooting the laces off the ball. He's not. I mean, to be clear, I think he had 18 yesterday, 18, 8, and 5 for Andrew Wiggins. I'm sorry, man. He had 3 steals, 2, and a block. That's like a fucking
Yeah, I
incredible.
mean, he's
That's
been
your small forwards putting in work at that point. And he again, he may not be scoring at like an elite clip. He's not 22 finals wigs. I don't know what that means anymore, really. But like, he's fucking awesome. He's like a really good starting small forward for the Warriors. And it's again 8 boards and 5 assists. 8 boards. I'm sorry, this happened. This guy did not grab 8 boards once last year. I'm willing to bet you. I mean that. So this is like it's the activity is awesome. Shout out to Wigs, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think Wiggs is. I mean, he was such a big X factor for this team coming in, how he'd look, and he's played his way into the conversation of, hey, like we can't, whatever moves that this team might make, like now you're really considering, do we want to give up a guy like Wiggins? And that's kudos to how he's played. But I think yesterday, especially, the Warriors just showed that they're still like the best team that can play small ball. I think obviously that's how they won a majority of their championships, being so lethal in that small ball unit. And obviously Chet going out is huge, and he's gonna be out for a while. I think 3 months is what they were saying about with the fractured hip. So prayers up to them. I mean, the Thunder were, I think we could say, the class of the West going into this week and in this matchup. With Chet out, the West is wide open, and so you're seeing the Warriors who they are big men in the West, obviously with Jokic and a guy like Chet. But if the Warriors have to play small ball and that's how they're gonna play a lot with Draymond at the five, they have so many guys that you can sub in and out, and I think that's what you're seeing with this depth. And I forget, it was Draymond or Kerr last night, but they were talking about how you were taught they just didn't have enough guys to go to different lineups and combinations last year, and so seeing guys like JK off the bench, Buddy Hield, Kyle Anderson, obviously guys like Pods, it's just GP2, Moody. So like there's just so many guys that you can play now, and you kind of know what you're getting every night, and especially defensively. Yeah, the Cavs game, they didn't miss a shot, and the Warriors were down 20-2. Yeah, at that point, it's a long road trip. You didn't really think the Warriors were gonna, come back and win that game, but to bounce back in that OKC game yesterday, going into it, obviously the Thunder were fully healthy, so the Warriors really just matched that energy, and I think that they're going to be in games every night. Whoever they're playing, regardless of what teams are out there, what stars are out there, they're going to have the matchups and the combinations to at least go to counteract what these teams are doing. So I really like it. I really like what I've seen. 4-1 is huge, and I think, yeah, I've definitely been more outspoken on the contender side, and that's strictly just based on how wide open this Western Conference is. Albeit there's a lot of good teams, the Warriors are one of those good teams, and I think 10 games in, that's very fair to say, and I don't think that's they've passed the eye test in my in the way like we're watching these first 10 games. They've played good teams, they've taken care of business against the bad teams. They've won without Steph, they've won with Steph. Yesterday and Boston were really the 2 games that you really had to rely on Steph, I feel like, to carry you home. But you had, Wiggins had 18. I think Kuminga had how much ever. He was double digits. A lot of guys are stepping up, and so you're seeing like the starting unit kind of come together with Melton. I think was the first time we really saw a solid like starting lineup, and then with guys like Kuminga, Buddy, Kyle Anderson, Moses off the bench, like you're seeing that this you can kind of platoon with the squad and mix and match, keep who you need to be out there. So overall reactions, yeah, I mean, we were going in thinking that 2-3 was going to be like, hey, this team is better than last year, whatever. So the fact that they were able to win 4 games on this trip, coming home, they got those two IST matchups coming, and obviously Klay coming home on Tuesday against the Mavs. So another stretch of winnable, not winnable, but like you're going against teams that you need to beat if you want to be that cream of the crop in the West. So just another opportunity. But yeah, 8-2, like there's really not much you can complain. And when you're just looking at how the West is unfolding right now, the Warriors can start to really put themselves in that conversation of that top tier, top three, top four, and if they can be in that neighborhood the entire season, that's kind of where you want to live. And they're looking like if healthy, they're going to be able to do that.
Yeah, you gotta just feel really good about. I like the way you said that. You said like they're you're pro contender Warriors, right? But yeah, I agree with you. You gotta at least acknowledge that this team's fucking good. Like they have a chance to be the number one seed. I think we kind of need to acknowledge that. And on the same note, I'm sorry, like I said this earlier, right? But if you're beating good teams with their best players, that's still a good thing. Like the Warriors winning
I
games
mean, they
without their
weren't
best
doing that
player,
last year. Like we've seen the
truly,
team
yeah.
not look good and go against a team without Chet, without Jalen Brown, and they still probably lose those games. So you have to acknowledge the fact that hey, they're beating who's out there. And look, you can't control health and injuries. So at the end of the day, you still have to go out and win the game. And Boston was still a matchup, was still a dogfight. The Thunder, if they had maybe 10 more minutes in that game, they would have come back too. So it's not like you're not getting their best shots still. Teams are still coming at the Warriors, like they were, 5 years ago. So, yeah, it's fun to see a hungry squad. You can just definitely see the intensity every night, especially defensively, and that effort I think is something you can keep that you can rely on to see every night, regardless of who the matchups are.
Oh yeah, yeah, it is. It is, yeah, important to note that. And I mean, I feel like, here we are, 10 games in. Um, I want to hear Matt. Like Matt, has anything you've seen like really changed your outlook so far on the year?
Yeah, I think I'm at a point. This is gonna be like you guys are gonna laugh at me. This is my like my highlight, my changed mindset. I'm pretty in on this team not being a play-in team positively. Like it would take a lot for them not to be a top six team, in my opinion. Which again, if you had asked me a month ago, I wouldn't have said that was um, likely. Whereas now I'd say it'd be very very strange if this was not a top six team come April. Uh, and it's just because we've seen again, you're winning games without Steph, and that's huge. It doesn't matter again if they went 3-0, they're not going to go undefeated and Steph doesn't play this year. I know that, but like if they're a 500 or above ball club and their best player does not play, they're going to be really fucking good. Right now, being 8-2, having beaten good teams, like beating Boston, OKC without Chet, or pardon me, without KP and Brown and Chet respectively, right? Uh, there still aren't a lot of teams better than teams they played this last week at constructed. Like there aren't a lot of teams better than OKC, even without Chet and without Hartenstein. There aren't a lot of teams better than Boston without Brown and Porzingis. So they're beating the good teams. It's just a matter of like, are you going to beat elite teams at their best? And we're not going to know that for a long time. But no, I'm going to say yes. I've seen enough to say this team is not a play-in team. Fuck, I hope I'm right because I'm so sick of that shit. But I feel like they're good. They're 10, 11, 12, 13 guys deep. We're gonna get eventually to trade talk and all that stuff at some point in the season. Right now, obviously, there's no need to really rush into that. But no, they're good. That's my takeaway. We know they are good at the very least at this point, which I could not have said last week even. So
Yeah, I mean, I guess even just building on that, trade talks and stuff like that. Like 10 games in, we're getting an idea of what this roster kind of looks like, what their strengths and weaknesses are. Um, what are you guys' thoughts just on the roster? Obviously, Matt, I know you've talked about, there's the need of really finding that secondary score for you to believe that, this team can be like a legit contender, be taken seriously. Chuck, we floated names in the offseason of guys we could, target, but just seeing this team 10 games in, played good, played bad teams, whatever. What are your thoughts on the roster? Like where are the holes and what is it kind of a swing for a secondary guy that is going to be the like only move that this team can make, or are there like margin kind of moves you eye that hey they don't have to go all out, maybe move a piece or two around and get something back where you can really just fortify what you have and not and Steph and the guys kind of vibe that they have right now.
Yeah, so I think they would be smart to keep an eye out there. We've had our own discussions about, if there's a guy out there like a Norman Powell type where, relatively cheap, we got an extra year of control in there. Wouldn't have to trade away any like major rotation pieces, like any starter type guys to get him. Um, so that would be a good upgrade if they're looking for it. But I think they gotta take a good long look at how this team performs and especially how the offense holds up because I'm very confident in the defense. And one stat that I looked at, I feel like everyone traditionally talks about, well, like if you're going to be a championship team, you got to have like a top 10 offense, top 10 defense around there, ideally closer to like top five and both to be the real deal. Um, this Warriors team right now, sixth in offense, second in defense. That offense probably headed for a slide eventually. But the last time this team won a championship, they were 17th in offense and second in defense. We've seen these guys level up in the playoffs before. We know what Steph does in those spring months. He's absolutely devastating still. And if the formula is Steph and really good role players and an elite defense, we may check back in after another 10 games and be like, you know what? I don't really even think you need to change anything. They might just have the right equation put together with all these guys, and especially with how high the vibes are riding right now, that's kind of what I'm curious to see is even if a clear, upgrade on the floor is out there, are they willing to disrupt the chemistry that this team has going in any way? Because it seems like every player's hitting, even the guys who are going through their struggles. There are other people who can step up and take their place. Kerr's just been an absolute maniac coaching this year. Um, so I think at a certain point you start to wonder, like, A, is this team good enough to sneak their way in and be a contender again? And B, do we want to risk like subtraction by addition? I guess if they make a trade and suddenly it's like, hey, well, so and so's gone. What the hell? Like we loved playing with him. So it's something to keep an eye on because this if this Warriors team just continues like kicking everyone's ass defensively and winning through the power of friendship, then I don't know if you should
Perfect movie script right there.
yeah. But yeah, no, the season outlook, like I'm right there with you, Matt. I think this team is pretty firmly looked like health willing. They're not a play-in type squad. So that's a huge development to start this year off.
Yeah, if things go well, they're hosting a first round series. You know what I mean? This is like a again, if they're a top four seed, I'm gonna be fucking ecstatic. I'm sorry, I'm that's where I'm at this point. And I think there's so much that I love all the context around strength in numbers versus like trading for a star. It's gonna be like it's the Bob Myers philosophy. Famously, Bob did not make any trades, but especially famously didn't make a trade during the 22 title run, right? And a lot of the reason was like don't mess with happy, right? Don't mess with what works. And you kind of get it in this team. What we always, always, always hear about good Warriors teams, Chuck, you hit on it, is like they love each other. Like these guys love playing together. They love Looney. They love GP. They love Buddy. Um, so whenever the time comes, it's not going to be anytime soon. There's no reason for it, right? As long as you're stacking up wins, that's those star talks aren't going to come up. But it's going to come up at some point if this team stays good. Like, do you make that move? But again, it's just long story short. I'm not going to go too much into it now, but like if you're making those deals, you better be getting back some fucking good defenders because this team's defense is special, and that's what's going to Chuck. You say it. That defense is what's going to carry them wherever they're going. So can't fuck that up. Love the power of friendship. I will always think that Steph will be sad if GP or Looney's not in the locker room. Yeah, that's where I'm at. Gautam, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I was jokingly, I think I sent it in our group chat, but I was like, hey, the vibes might be like a little too good to mess us up and make a deal. And yeah, you kind of hit on it with the addition or the subtraction by addition kind of point. But my biggest not concern, but like TJD has been pretty terrible this year so far. Like it looks different and it's just been it feels like he's not as imposing. It's kind of soft isn't the right word for it, but like I'm not calling him soft or anything, but that's just kind of how he's playing. He's missing rebounds. It feels like he's getting beat on some of these box outs. And yesterday was a little tough game for him just with Chet out, so the Warriors lean more small ball. So Looney didn't play either, so I'm not looking too much into Trace not getting the minutes, but. My only concern for this roster so far is, Loon is, I think, a fantastic backup big, but if you can get a kind of a stretch big type guy with a guy like Kelly Olynyk and you're in business then like you've got a guy that can shoot another big body in the middle that can let Draymond roam and TJD is a second year player so and his value is increasing in this league so having a guy like that And if they can just shore up the size a little bit, and obviously the Warriors, it's been known like they've won championships without centers. It's not that, this is a real focus for this team, but there are some really good, talented centers in this league that the Warriors might have to see they probably will have to see going through a gauntlet in the West. So that would be my biggest, question mark about this roster right now. And that's why I'm kind of in the camp of I don't know if it is, swinging for a secondary guy because, like you said, Chuck, the defense is legit, and they can hang their hat on that. 2022 is a prime example. So, is there another piece out there that you can kind of fit to plug in whatever holes that this current squad has, TBD. But yeah, I think they're in a good spot. The more they're going to win, the more data they're going to be able to collect on this team. Buyers become sellers at the deadline. You never know who's available. So it's just something to keep an eye out on. But to be fair, they're into. So they're doing all the right things in terms of wanting to collect points, but also stacking up wins and staying out of that playing conversation, man. We've missed out on two postseason runs because of that stupid fucking plan. So stay out of that shit, and yeah, we'll have a shot at it. But guys, before we get out of here, quick hitter today. Our guy, our original namesake, Klay Thompson. Shout out to Game Six Clay Pod. He is homecoming, man. Clay returning to the Bay Area. Had some interesting comments about when he was asked about it, by the Dallas media after the last game, and kind of shrugged it off, and more so, hey, like happy to see everybody, but it's another game, and we'll see. I mean, we know how Clay is, so I'm sure it's going to be an emotional night. But just what are your thoughts about Clay coming back, man? The vibes of the breakup, who knows? It still seems a little off. I think it'll never, kind of be, back to where it was until, after it's all said and done, and they got the teams coming back together and whatever. But Clay's returned to Chase Center, expecting a huge ovation. But what are you guys looking forward to seeing? Not only for the Warriors against the Mavs, I guess we can kind of make this a kind of a mix of a preview, but also just see Clay and what that kind of what emotions are you guys going to be going through seeing that on tomorrow night?
It's
I
gonna be.
Go ahead,
You
Chuck.
got it. You got it.
I'm already fucking sick of it, man. I'm sorry. Listen, I love Clay. I'm always gonna love Clay. I've hated everything about Clay discourse over the last 14 months. I just feel like none of it's been genuine for the most part. People are, people we've gone over it 1,000 fucking times. I hope it's a good reunion. I hope the Warriors kick the shit out of the Mavericks. I hope Clay has a fine game. Um, I'm just kind of done with it, man. It's obviously sour grapes, these two groups now in a lot of ways. Like Clay, we do know Clay as far as like fandom goes, right? I know we don't know the guy, but like he's a sour dude right now. He's sour towards the Warriors. You kind of see it. There are all kinds of reasons one might say you can't blame him. All good. I'm ready for the game, the reunion to be passed. I'm ready to skip out on all the weird Twitter comments from our favorite characters in this fucked up little universe. I'm just done. So I hope it's a good game. I hope the Warriors kick their asses. I hope Wiggins puts Luka in jail above all else. Um, who's guarding Clay? Fun question for you guys. Who's guarding Clay that game? Because I'm sure we're gonna see Melton on Kyrie and Wiggins on Luka. So is Steph
Steph
guarding Clay
guarding
to start the
Clay,
game?
baby. Let's do it.
I mean, probably makes the most sense. You know, who's gonna know Clay's tendencies better than him? And yeah, like you said, you're not gonna put Steph on either of Kyrie or Luca. So no, it makes a lot of sense. That's gonna be hilarious to watch. Um, weirdly, like it kind of sounds like a weird comparison, but I feel similarly to this, to how I feel about the way people talked about the LeBron and Bronny thing. Um, where it's like, hey, this would have been a cool moment that I could actually enjoy if you aren't if you all weren't so fucking weird about it. Like, or just didn't talk about it that much. Like you could even tell like the little press conference that they had with Clay, like the most predictable thing in the world was like, oh, I wonder if Clay is gonna play this off nonchalantly. Like he's so sick of hearing this shit. Like, and you have all these articles coming out that are clearly like painting a picture of Clay and like how disgruntled he was. And it's like, oh wow, I wonder why this came out like days before he comes back. It just reeks of like Warriors are 8-2. Like I think the decision making and everything was sound. They said they wanted Klay back. The only thing I really gleaned from that was interesting was that Kerr basically said like if we had him, he would have been fluctuating between the bench and the starting lineup. So it looks like they were just trying to collect all these role guys and then keep Klay in the fold too. Um, I think the framing that like Klay was pissed about that is a little off, but like whatever. At the end of the day, like it's still going to be a really cool moment. It's still going to be weird as hell, like seeing him in that jersey, but I'd imagine they're going to have some fun with it. You just know Klay is going to take like 8 off the dribble mid range shots because he's going to be pissed for this one. Um, so we'll see. Now we're in weird win-win territory where hey, if Klay cooks, like that's kind of fun and it'll be enjoyable seeing the guy hoop. I'm sure he'll have some words for Steph and Draymond when he hits that first shot. And if he shoots them out of the game, then
We've
good
seen
for
that
us.
I think Clay's going to shoot either the Warriors or the Mavericks out of the game tomorrow. That's my prediction.
Yeah,
He's going to shoot
It's
one of those two.
he will shoot one team out of the game, that's for sure,
Yes.
because he's going
classic.
to shoot.
It's gonna be awesome, man. Yeah, I mean, the whole discourse around it is just so cooked. Like, it's easy to just be like, hey, this was an amicable breakup, man. He's in a new situation. The Dallas is obviously in a contending spot. The Warriors look fine after it. They've retooled. So I hope it's a celebration. It'd be cool to see the tribute video, and I'm sure they have all those the sea captain hats, and I heard that they're going to be taking it off to salute it for Klay. And he meant a lot to the Bay Area for all of us. We grew up watching Klay. He was the first draft pick in the Laker era. So hopefully, we can look tomorrow. We kind of embrace it as a just a culmination of just what Clay's impact in the Bay Area for the Warriors and just all of our lives. So it'll be cool to see that. Not going to be caught up in the agendas of it, but yeah, hopefully a good fun game. Clay gets a lot of shots up, doesn't make a lot, shoots them out, and the Warriors win a comfortable one. But yeah, man, it'll be fun to see. I guess number 31. That's weird too. But see Clay back in Chase Center. So for an IST game as well. So some implications. The Warriors they choked it away kind of last year. They had that massive lead against Sacramento to clinch it, and forget how that played out. But um, yeah, it'll be a good time. But before we get out of here, guys, we got 2 games left this week. Obviously the Mavs game, and then the Grizzlies coming to town. Always a fun matchup. So a fun week here of Warriors basketball. Let's get a quick record prediction, man. Quick two game homestand. Matt, what are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. This is stupid as fuck, but I'm going to say 2-0. 2-0 on the homestand. That's where I'm at. I think this team's good. I think they're better than the Mavericks and they're better than the Grizzlies. Um, I think they're motivated. I'm going 2-0 this week.
Love it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm right there with you. We might have a clean sweep across the board. Like these are two teams that are going to be extremely motivated to play against. We know they love getting up against the Mavs and especially the Grizzlies. I mean, Klay is going to bring a lot of emotion into that building, and this Warriors team this year kind of seems to feed off emotion. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And yeah, the Grizzlies, I'm excited to see how Steve Kerr, like how he chooses to go at Zach Edey's head is going to be a lot of fun. I think Edey's going to be a good player, but he's had kind of a rough go of it in the early stretch of the season. So I'm excited to see what kind of a small ball fuckery Steve comes up with to play that guy off the floor.
Love it. So we got 2-0, 2-0, yeah, 2-0, man. Just
Of
two good
course, of
matchups
course.
against the West, both at home. We'll see. It would be, I mean, I don't want to say it, but it would be funny if the Warriors pulled a reverse 2023 and they were just, goated on the road and couldn't win at home, which they kind of did last year. But whatever.
That was,
2-0.
yeah.
2-0. It'll be a fun one. Clay's return and everything like that. But as always, thanks for listening, guys. It's a fun episode here, kind of breaking down the hot stretch here lately. A lot of fun stuff coming up for the Warriors. It feels like we got something cooking here. But until the next one, guys, peace.